We were talking about the importance of small businesses in the community. So I think, especially in these times, but like supporting local industry and what it means. Like there's one aspect where it is you're on the sustainability side. I was reading the other day about some meat that's Swedish meat that's shipped to another country to be packaged and then shipped back to Sweden. And really, we want to get away from that. That you want something that's produced locally and that you can buy locally.
A smart city, what is it about? A livable city, how do we create it? Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Don't forget to follow Instagram account to see the stories behind the scenes, and also subscribe the YouTube channel to see the live talks. Let's get in touch on LinkedIn, share your reflections with us, with Urbanistica community, recommend the podcast to people you think are interested in Urbanistica topics. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. In this episode, we're going to talk about how is it to produce a local beer. I have the pleasure to welcome Keane to tell us the story behind the scenes from getting the malt, the process, and the final product. Hey, and welcome Ivan to Urbanistica podcast.
Thank you very much, Mustafa. Very happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. So, how are you doing, Ivan? I hope everything is good.
Great. I feel good, yeah. We're busy at the brewery, and that's always a good thing. So, and enjoying the summer.
So, Ivan, I'm really looking forward to hear your story, and you are our storyteller. So, how would you like to introduce yourself, and please tell us, what are you passionate about?
Okay. Well, my name is Ivan Keane, and I started Keane Brewing roughly 3 years ago. And it's a small microbrewery out on an island called Lidingö. And what I'm passionate about is beer. So my interest is in brewing all kinds of beer and producing it and serving it to people and getting their feedback, and hopefully they enjoy it as much as I do.
So when did everything started, your passion about producing the beer?
Yeah, well, it goes back some time. Go back to when I was in my 20s in college, and I studied biology, and I was always interested in kind of microorganisms, and then it kind of opened up towards yeast, and then I started brewing at home myself, and I was quite pleased with the results, and then I explored it a bit more. And when you go back, that's roughly 30 years ago, I'm 50 now, the choice of the beers in the market wasn't very much. So you could bring forward different tastes, and that was something that always intrigued me.
Was it back home or here in Sweden?
Yeah, like home for me is in Dublin, in Ireland. So that was back in Ireland, and then my parents were living in London for a while. My father had a contract there, so I went over to England, and then I tasted more beers there, different styles, and that kind of opened up my eyes that, gee, there's more than just a lager or a stout. That there's loads of different styles of beer. So that's where the interest stemmed from. And then I'm trained or educated as an engineer. So I've worked for a lot of my life in company Ericsson, which is kind of a well-known Swedish multinational. And I left Ericsson 3 years ago, and then went straight into this adventure called Keane Brewing, and working full-time on that.
So it started as a hobby for you?
Started as a hobby, definitely, yeah. Like it's taken over my life.
So what made you to take this decision and transform this from a hobby to professional beer producer?
Was thinking about for quite some time. And it got more serious probably 4 or 5 years ago. And then I got an opportunity through Ericsson they were downsizing. So I took a package from them, and it was a pretty good package. So that could support me for the first few years. So that gave me the opportunity to kind of jump in and work with this full time. And then around the same time as well, like I have friends back in Ireland that are working in the beer industry. So I could, learn a lot from them and what their experiences were. And the timing was quite good because here in Sweden, the interest in beer has grown an awful lot in the last, you could say, 10 years even. So for me, the timing was right. We'd been looking for premises in Lidingö for quite some time, and there was some developments there as well. So it was kind of now or never if I was going to do it. So I decided let's go for it, and I jumped in with the support of my family, I should say.
Was it easy for you to get a permission from the municipality?
There are a lot of rules and regulations here in Sweden when it comes to it. So to be fair, you need special permits, and it's not that difficult, but it does take time. That's something that you need to take into account. And then, to be fair, I understand there are rules about it, and they can be good as well because it ensures that that we have a high quality in the brewery and so on. It's not people taking shortcuts, because that's not what we're about.
Is it easier for you back home if you wanted to start a local beer production? Will you get the permission easier compared to Stockholm?
It's a little bit easier. The government provide a little bit financial help, which is good. Whereas here in Sweden, it's really we were able to get some help from Almi, which is kind of a government agency that can arrange loans with lower interest on them. So that was really appreciated. But in Ireland, they can avail of more loans at cheaper interest rates, which is something that it's lucky for them, because that would help if we had something like that here in this country.
So in order to start your business, what are the different steps that you needed to take?
Yeah, so if I think back to it, in Lidingö we had Startup Lidingö at that time, but it's become Startup Stockholm. There's an organization that I think is active in every commune that helps people when they come with new business ideas, and they help you structure it. And there I was able to get help from a mentor that worked in the hotel and conference trade. So a man called Johan Hjort, and he was very helpful to me. And then I approached Almi, which is this government organization that helps with the loan. And there they were, again, helpful when it comes to the business plan, and then also the budget and how you set aside money and what you need to think about.
Were you alone when you started this business?
No, I'm still it's my family, also myself. So we're the ones that put the money into the company and took out the loans. So I work full time on it with a lot of support from us in the family. I should also mention I have a brother in Ireland who is passionate about beer as well. So we're on the phone to each other every day, swapping ideas about recipes and so on. So but so they were the big steps really. To get a mentor, I think, was very important, especially someone that's kind of in a trade or an industry very closely related. Then to have the business plan, and then the budget. Almi have a very good Excel sheet that I was able to use, and you could even work out how much taxes were that you need to be paying and so on, so you wouldn't run out of money in the startup phase, which isn't a good thing to happen.
And in terms of place, what were you looking for?
So we were looking for a locale or a premises for quite some time. We wanted it in Lidingö. We wanted it local because that's where we're from. And so we met a company called Jan Mattsson, and they they mainly rent out apartments to people, and but they also have some premises for businesses. And we told them what our ideas were about setting up the brewery, and we were looking for a suitable place for it. And they told us about a new house that they were building, or new building for apartments. And it was a new concept together with Lidingö Stad, where people between 18 years of age and 25 would move into these apartments. So it would be their first step into the property. And they thought it would be pretty cool that we could be part of that and have the brewery on the ground level and then all these apartments with young people above us. And we thought that was great. The only snag was that or the only problem was that the building wasn't built yet. So, so we were ready to go with the financing. I had the equipment sourced, and really we wanted the premises at that time. But they were good that they had a plan. Like they had an old premises that we could move into while the new building was being built, and then when the building was ready, we could move. So that was very helpful, and they were able to help us as well with when it came to the rent. They hear on that they give us a reduced rate in the old premises. So that was really, really helpful, especially like when you're starting up a business and you're not taking in that much money in the early days. So we weren't spending that much money on our rent at all. And to be fair to Jan Madsen, they've been very helpful all the way. When we moved to the new building, they helped us with the move, and any issues that came up, it was always like, it's never a problem, it can be fixed. So no, I'm very thankful for all the help that they've provided us.
Yeah. And the equipment, did you get them from Sweden or from other countries?
Yeah, so like it's a 1,000-liter microbrewery. So like it's 5 vessels on the brewing side, if we say, a mash tun, a kettle, and a whirlpool, and then it's a hot and cold water tank, and then we have 6 fermentation vessels and 1 bright beer tank. I was around Europe looking at different makes, different producers of this equipment. To be fair, it was expensive in some of these countries. I had been back over to Ireland, and my brother put me in touch with a brewery just outside Dublin, and they had bought their system or the brewing equipment from China. So I had a look at that, and they were very happy with it. It's a lot of it consists of a lot of makes of names that we would be familiar with here in Europe, like Siemens motors, ABB pumps, Schneider electrics. So like this company, they really are making an effort on the quality side. I didn't want to buy equipment that would be broken within a few months or a few years, and then I'd have to spend more money to fix it. So we were able to get in contact with this company, Degong in China, and like it worked very well. They had the equipment produced within a few months, and then it was shipped over to Stockholm, and we installed it. They provided an engineer who actually comes from Ireland, so I could speak to him without any difficulties. So he came to live with us for 3 weeks while we installed the brewery, and he brewed the first 2 brews that we did. He was there guiding us with that. So it worked out very well. Yeah, worked out very well.
So how big is the space that you need? You need just a big hall, or you need like really small or big different rooms?
Yeah, like a big room works very well. It's 100 square meters. Ideally, we could probably do with 150, but it's nice and compact. I'm the only one working there full time, so it's easier for me to keep the place clean. But no, it works very well. 100 square meters. But and then the requirement is like I need 3 meters to the roof, so the tanks are that tall. So that's really the only requirement. And then of course that the water on the floor can run easily to a drain, because there's a lot of cleaning and there's a lot of water that falls on the ground. So. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. I would love to know about the process from the ingredients to the final product. Where did you get the malt, the other things that you add?
The basic ingredients of the beer it's malt, which is like grain. We have yeast, hops, and water. And if I start with the malt, when we were setting up the brewery, we heard of a farm not far from Katrina home, which would be 2.5 hours outside Stockholm. And they were producing malt from that region. And we thought, gee, this is really cool, because up until then, when I was brewing at home, it was a lot of German malt and English malt. But like, why not try some really good Swedish quality malt? So we went down and we visited them on the farm, and we talked to them. And then we kind of built up a relationship with them, that we know who's working on the farm, who's driving around the tractor, and so on. But it's an old malt called Balder malt, which is making a little bit of a comeback. And it's a lovely story that it was popular here in Sweden in the 30s and 40s. And then it got forgotten about when we went into the whole mass production, because the yields, like the yields on this malt, they weren't as good as some of the new ones coming. So like at that time, the people forgot about the taste or the quality of the malt. It was more like the quantity. How much can we get there? So that's where the kind of industry went until recently. So now we see more and more of these older malts, heirloom malts, coming back, and more of an interest in it. And the fact that we have a farm that's really kind of invested a lot in the equipment to produce these old malts, not far from Stockholm, I think is brilliant. So we buy all our base malts, which is I would say 90% of our malts from this farm, and it has the added bonus then as well. It's organic or ecological malt. So like that's we like to think of ourselves as a family kind of business, and then we're helping another family business, or we work together. So that's the malt side of it. We still rely on specialty malts like the roasted malts and the crystal malts, and they come from Germany, from Weirmann, or from England. Crisp is the company there.
Is it because Sweden doesn't have this here, or just because of your recipe or taste?
It probably a bit of both, but like hopefully this company outside Katrina home, I should mention her name, Varbro Kvarn. They're famous for producing flours that a lot of bakeries would use here in Stockholm. But they're hopefully they start producing some of these specialty malts, because that would make us very happy to buy everything from them. Then that's the malts. Then we have the hops. And the hops come from from Germany, from USA, from England. We've tried some hops here from Sweden, bittering hops, and that's something we'd like to kind of use a little bit more in our brewing. We have the yeast. Then it's mainly dry yeast we're using at the moment, but they come from where are they from? England and I think France, fermenters. And then the water is local. It's communal water, and what we can do then is we add some salts to the water to kind of enhance the maltiness in the beers, or the more hops, the hop flavors. So we can. It's almost like fine tuning, like using a little bit of salt or pepper on the food, that you're kind of like just tuning it to your taste. So it's like really kind of fine tuning it. But they're the basic ingredients. So like on a typical brew day for us, we'd crush the malt. Normally I do it the day before. So like if we brewed on Saturday, we did a folk ale, which here in Sweden would be a 3.5 beer. And we used around, 150, 160 kilos of malt. So we crushed that the day before. And then we heat up the water, so the water is at the right temperature when we go to use it. And then the brew day, when I come in early in the morning, I sanitize the fermenters to make sure there's no bacteria or any kind of yeast that we don't want in there. And the brewing starts early. It takes roughly 12 hours, the brew day, so it's a long day. But then when it's completed, we move the wort, or the cooled wort, over into a fermentation vessel, and we add yeast to it. And then we wait. And for an ale, it could be roughly 3 weeks. And for a lager, it's a different type of yeast that kind of works at a lower temperature, works more slowly. It could be up to 6 weeks before that's ready. So then after that, then the beer's ready, and we package it ourselves. We put it in bottles. It takes a lot of time, but it's a bit of fun. And then, with the folk ale, the 3.5, we can sell to people that drop into the brewery, which is always cool. We sell it in food shops in the local area. The stronger beers, we sell to Systembolaget, and they sell on to private customers then. And then we sell to pubs or restaurants as well. But now with Corona, that side of it is impacted. There's not as many orders coming from there just now. Hopefully that picks up now later in the summer.
And I saw that you are not only producing just one type of beer, you have so many different flavors.
Yeah, that's something that that we like to bring forward, different types of beer. So we moved recently into the new building, and we've brewed 7 times now since April. We've done 3 different folk ales, 3.5s, and then we've done 4 strong beers. So
Do you need a larger space if you want to increase the number of flavors?
Well, yeah, like that could become a limitation, but for us, like, it's not to kind of be the biggest brewery. You know, we're quite happy to stay on the level that we're at. and we've taken that into account with the equipment we have. So with the 6 fermenters we have, I think that's we're happy with that level. So we can.
Very interesting. And how do you deliver your products?
Yeah, no, we do it all ourselves. So like I deliver to the local Systembolaget store. We pubs and restaurants. We have some customers here in town. I drive into town with the deliveries for them. And then we have a local food shop that's across the road. So I just walk over to them with the beers. So that's cool.
That's really good, because I imagine you build a big network and also this sense of community between you and the others.
Yeah, you really hit it on the head there. It for me, it's I've been asked by people like, would you not use a delivery company? But really, it's to get out there and to meet these people that are buying the beer and to talk to them and get some feedback from them. And of course, they have good ideas then as well, like what styles of beer work for them. And so it's important to have that connection.
Yes, exactly. Connection is important. So is this a microbrewery?
Yeah, it is. It is. So like for me, what a microbrewery is that you can go in there and you can meet the person, talk to the person that's actually brewing the beer. And, it's easy for you to see, or easy for them to explain to you, like, okay, what's going on there? And they can show you the ingredients, describe what they're doing. So like it's on that level. And I think the larger, let's say, industrial breweries, it's difficult to do that.
So in terms of spaces, you don't need other external rooms, for instance, garage.
No, like that works. It can be even smaller. Like there are smaller breweries. I think for the level that we're at with the 1,000 liters, 100 square meters works well. But like there's smaller breweries with maybe 200, 300, even smaller, and like they don't need such a big space either. Yeah. So that's the beauty of it. Really, you kind of decide which level you're going in, and you tailor it to suit your needs.
And are you happy now with the place you have? You told me you're on the first floor, street level, I guess.
Yeah, we're on the first level, ground level, street level. Yeah. Above us we have, I think it's 75 apartments, so it's 9 or 10 levels high. No, it's fantastic, because the last premises we had, the temporary premises, it was like very industrial, like a big garage, and then when the door was closed you couldn't see in. I don't think a lot of people even knew we were there. Whereas the new one, it's big glass windows, a little bit like your office here, more open, so people can see in. And then when I'm there, like I always have the door open, because I like the interaction with people, and I like them to come in and ask me, like, what are you doing, or what's going on here? And we've noticed that since we moved in April, like there's people coming in all the time. So it's really, really cool.
Wow, that's so amazing to hear, because this is what we're aiming for. Like as an urban planner, I would love that the life in the city, this interaction between people through these big windows, or you're leaving the door open to talk to people and creating this kind of community feelings.
No, but it's fun for me, but to live in the area as well. Like that's, it works both ways. We want something there that people think it's cool to see and be interested in seeing what we're doing, and maybe come there and come in, talk to us. We have some plans like that. We'd like to serve folk out there that people could come and drink a lower alcohol beer, so the interaction is so important at that level. It really is. We've had people coming in and they'd be walking by, they give us thumbs up and they wish us the best of luck, and they're glad it's not just another, like, now I hope I'm not insulting anyone if they're a hairdresser or running a gym, but like, we have a lot of them already. So like, it's good to have different businesses there as well, to have a bit of variety.
Yeah, so you're basically creating life around your microbrew.
We'd like to see it that way. Tomorrow now we have, today I was busy building a bar. It's not just brewing beer. So I had help from my friend Jana that we were fixing a bar. So tomorrow we start with the first tastings we're doing out of the brewery. So you mentioned about permissions and permits. We got one for proof smoking, it's called, here in Sweden. So it's like tastings. So we're going to invite people in, and they can sit down in the brewery, and we describe the equipment, the process, the ingredients, and then they can taste the different beers that we've made. And some of the beers will be taken straight from the big fermentation tanks, so they'll be getting it extremely fresh. So that's cool.
So you're trying to build a community.
We want them to feel that they're part of this, and that they see it's growing from when we moved in April, that they were there. Oh yeah, they got those things in through the window, and what are they doing now? Have they connected them up, and what are they producing now? And hopefully something that they can feel a little bit proud of and want to show off to their friends or family. And we've had some people coming in buying. We have a little present box, and they want to take that and give that to their friends. So that was quite popular around midsummer.
Ivan, so you're trying to build this community. Apart from that, they are your customers, but why you're doing this? Why it's so important for you to have people, to engage people, and to make them part of your story?
Well, I think for us, for it to work, like basically we need that interaction, but also it's more fun for me. Like I'm there by myself all day, and I like to meet people and talk to them and hear their stories as well. Hear what have they been doing, or where have they been coming from. And what's beautiful to see is like it's such a mix. Like Larsberg, where we are, it's a place called Ågavägen, and it's between one built up area, Larsberg, that's been there for quite some time, maybe from the 50s or 60s. And there's around 2,500 people living there. And then on the other side, we have Åga, which is being developed now, and a lot of apartments being built there. And it will end up, I think, at 2,000 new apartments. So it's kind of a lot of older people, you could say, established in the area. And now we see a lot of young people moving in with young families. And we have such a mix of these people coming in, talking to us. Like we have a lot of pensioners out in the morning, taking their walk, and they drop in and just say hello. And then in kind of afternoon, we see young families kind of collecting kids from school or whatever. And they want to say hey or hello as well. So that's great.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And even I guess you know more than me in this field, but I believe back in time we had more this local breweries, and then we moved to this big manufacturing, and now it's a kind of back to the small local production. What do you think?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Like in Stockholm, we talk about Stockholm.
Yeah, well, for sure, in the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of new microbreweries, and we've been... that expansion has been immense. Like we're up above, it's 400 microbreweries in Sweden now, which is fantastic. And I think for people that travel around, I remember when I was younger, when you travel to a different country, it was a real adventure. You'd go and you'd see different foods, and you'd have different drinks, and you'd see. It was a whole different experience. And I think we've gone through probably a few decades now where it's become very uniform. It's not that much different, And really, I'd like to go back to the time where it is a big adventure to go to. It doesn't even have to be a different country. It could be to a different town that you see different things. Exactly. So, and that's the beauty of, I think, small businesses and that, like that. You have this variety, and wouldn't it be great if we could go to a different town and taste like a different bread, or I don't know, different cheese, or it doesn't have to be beer, but you know what I mean, like different types of food, or maybe I don't know, it could be a different. It's about the experience, really.
Do you have a relation or a communication with other local producers here in Sweden?
Yeah, actually that's one thing I could say. Like it's a surprise to some people. Like I get asked the question like, oh, there's another microbrewery in Lidingö. Like, is it competition? And we don't see it like that at all. I think it could be that we have some very, very large industrial breweries, and they control so much of the market. Like it would be over 90%, 95% of the market. And then we're a couple of hundred small microbreweries that we're talking about, maybe a few percent of the market, that there's a very helpful community there. So like we have our Facebook group that we always in discussions, like, and it could be anything from like, okay, listen, I have this label on my beer and it's been rejected by the system below it. Have you had that experience? Or, anybody got this equipment? I need an extra fermenter. Anybody got one for sale? Or it could be someone like who has something for sale, or, so we come together at the festivals, and that is actually, it's a pity with the corona, we don't have them just now, but like really that's a real fun time for us brewers, that we meet other breweries at the festivals, and we work hard at them, but they are really good fun. But no, I've got a lot of help from other microbreweries, established microbreweries when I was in the setup. We have one there in Stockholm, close to Rubston, Stockholm Brewing Company. I've been talking to them quite a bit in the early days and have a great relationship with them. It's a really cool community that we have there with the microbreweries. Yeah.
How much did the Corona affected you?
Yeah, like it was a strange. It was strange for everyone, and it's a tough time for everyone. For us, it was going back to March. I think the middle of March when it kind of hit, hit everyone really here in Sweden. And we were just getting established in a number of pubs here in Stockholm, and we even had one customer who, unfortunately, they were on their way into bankruptcy, so they couldn't pay us, which is a pity. But on the pubs and restaurant side, it's very, very tough, and we can see that like we don't get orders from them now, which is a shame. We're fortunate that we can sell 3.5 beer directly out of the brewery and to food shops. So there, like we see an increase in sales there, and then when it comes to the Systembolaget, I could say slight increase on the sales there. But we're fortunate we have these other avenues to sell. But the pubs and restaurants it's really, really tough for them here at the moment.
Do you think it will continue like this even after the summer?
Yeah, well, we'd like to think it would get better, but it's hard to know. It's hard to know. We stay positive. Like, and then we just take the precautions. When people come into the brewery, we keep our distance, and just regularly wash our hands and so on. That's the best we can do. And then hope that, we have a vaccine soon that we can all, go back to normal again.
Yeah. As a local beer producer, what are the challenges that you are facing?
I think for us, it's to get out into the market. Like that was probably the biggest challenge that we had. With this here in Sweden, it's a very unique kind of system we have with the Systembolaget. So like we can't sell more than any beer more than 3.5. We can't sell directly to a customer.
Ivan, can you explain to the international listeners what is Systembolaget?
Okay, so Systembolaget is run by the government, basically. So the government have these shops in every town. I think would it be 350 or something, roughly, I could be wrong, shops all around Sweden. And they're responsible for selling alcohol to private customers. So you cannot buy any alcohol more than 3.5 from anywhere else in Sweden. So it's the Systembolaget. And for microbrewery bringing their beer to the market, you can apply to have the Systembolaget sell it for you. But the process, it's a long process. It's roughly 3 months for a new beer. So it takes a while. And then it's everything from like you must submit the labels, what it will look like. And there's rules and regulations around that naturally. But you get into some funny discussions when it comes to the designs maybe on the beer. Fortunately, we haven't had that issue. But for sure, like we have strict laws around alcohol advertising, so like there can't be obviously any illustrations on it that make it look like it could be attractive to children or to younger people. So like there's some sensible laws around it, but it's also, there's a lot of interpretations that people can have different interpretations. But yeah, to get a beer into the Systembolaget, there's a process there. So like the first few times we used it, it was kind of frustrating because you had to learn the process. But now we know that, and it becomes easier. Yeah, so like I think to get the product out there, it's difficult to come into pubs and restaurants, even if we ignore the corona now. The larger industrial breweries, they provide financing to a lot of pubs and restaurants. So, and part of that arrangement is that they will have the taps then in the bars. So like when I come with my little microbrewery and say that we have a new beer, would you like to have it? You're fighting against that because it's all the industrial breweries equipment that's there, and naturally they're not always welcoming you as a possible competitor in there with your beer. And then like, okay, I was fortunate I had Jan Mattsson to help me, but like for I think anyone kind of setting up a microbrewery or going down that road, like you have to make a big investment up front because you have to invest in all the equipment that's required, and that's a big hurdle. just to get that in place. They'd be the biggest challenges we've encountered, but we were lucky with John Matson that they could help us with the rent in the early days. So,
what do you think about Brewpub? Do we have them here in Stockholm?
Well, you're seeing a little bit more of it, and I think it's a fantastic idea. Like it's basically, I guess if you have friends in America, they'd be very familiar with it. But the Brewpub is basically located beside the brewery, or it could be even part of the brewery that you're serving the beer directly to customers. The limitations we have here in Sweden is if you want to serve strong beer, you must have a permit for it, and part of the rules regarding the permit is that you must be able to serve food. And they're quite strict rules when it comes to serving food. Like it must be restaurant quality food. So you really need to make a big investment on the kitchen side. And of course, it becomes a larger project because then you need probably a chef or a cook to work in the kitchen, and you must have people to be able to serve the food. And really, we're brewing beer. We like to do that and serve the beer. The food side is it would make the project, of course, bigger. And
But do we have them?
We have. I could recommend Stockholm Brewing. They have a restaurant out in Vatten, out near Robston, and big glass windows looking into the brewery. So that's definitely worth a visit if someone's interested. So there are a few. Last week there was a festival in Visby, Hopshed. So I could recommend if anybody's in Gotland, if they ever make their way down there. There's a lovely brew pub just outside Visby there. So there are a few, definitely, and it would be great to see a few more. But again, it's the investment. It costs a lot to get that project up and running.
So what is your dream about Keane Brewing?
Yeah, well, I think you're kind of touching on it. Like I think we're getting closer to where we would like to be, and that's being able to serve the beers to our customers and interact with them. Tomorrow we start the proof smoking, the tasting, and also then we have permission to serve folk ale 3.5. So that's something we'll start doing, and I think really what we would like to see is that the brewery is up and running, and that we're generating money, that it's sustainable, because we're still at the point where we're investing money in it, and then being able to open a few times a month and actually serve our beers to people, and to be able to interact with them and get some direct feedback on what they like. And yeah.
Are you going to expand in Lidingö?
No, like we don't have any ambitions to to grow much larger than where we are. Like really, if we stay on this level, I'd be really happy. I'm the one who's working full time there, so of course we'd like to maybe employ a few more people, but it's really on the level that we're at now. I think to get that working we'd be really happy with that. So
you do all the job like a Superman.
Well, I don't know about Superman, but no, we keep busy. So after this recording, I must go back to the brewery and I need to bottle some beer. We have a new release of beer tomorrow, so. Yeah,
and by the way, you have different illustrations and names to your different beer flavors. So what is the story of these illustrations?
Yeah, like the logo that we have, we got help from two very good design students, or they were in their last year, or finishing up their last year in design school. And they used inspiration from rune, which is like the old writing on stones here in Nordic countries, and oham, which is from Ireland, which is the way they wrote on the stones back in the similar time, but a different style. So they kind of fused them together and they came up with our logo. And then coming from that, then we've taken in kind of inspiration of the writing that we get from Ogham, that you can see on, let's say, James's Pale Ale. But also then we're taking, the last few beers we've used Nordic gods. So we've had Freyr, we've had Balder, we've had the one coming out tomorrow is Njord. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then like the labels themselves, if people see them, like they are they're very simple. Like it's kind of a black text on a white background. So, but that's worked well for us. It's always difficult to kind of stand out and kind of differentiate yourself from so many other different products out there. Yeah. But it works for us.
So now you're working / practicing your hobbies. So do you have any other hobby apart from this?
I don't have time anymore. No, I used to do a lot of running, but to be honest with you, I'm on my feet in the brewery all day. So like that keeps me. I'm quite tired in the evening. So, but no, this is really taken a lot of my time. But I have a young family as well, so we have 3 children that are kind of young age, so they keep us busy.
So you're enjoying every single moment.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So nice. Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good, and there's a lot to it. Like it's not just brewing, but like it's everything from the designs. Like now we know we have a beer that we brewed on Saturday. It will be ready in 3 weeks' time. We need to get the labels ready for that, get the design. So like it's cool. Yeah. You're kind of it's very creative from the point of view coming up with the recipes and then trying to get a label or a symbol that suits that and trying to bring that forward.
It's a lot about communication and time management, right?
Yeah. So like absolutely, it's a lot of last minute last minute tasks to be done. But yeah, it is. I was on the phone this morning to we have a canning company, so we produce some bottles and we bottle that ourselves. But we have one beer, it's Baldur's Gold, that is in cans. So there's a company that comes with the canning machine, and we need to book a time with them. So they come the 31st of July. So we need to have a beer ready for them. So let's go.
Yeah. Yes, good luck. And thank you so much again for coming, for sharing your story, and for inspiring us.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
So how would you like to summarize what we talked about, your reflections, and 3 takeaway messages to all Urbanistica listeners?
Yeah, well, I think we touched on, or we were talking about the importance of small businesses in the community. So I think especially in these times, but like supporting local industry and what it means. Like there's one aspect where it is you're on the sustainability side. Like I was reading the other day about some meat that's Swedish meat that's shipped to another country to be packaged and then shipped back to Sweden. And really we want to get away from that. That's you want something that's produced locally and that you can buy locally, and then of course you're reducing on the carbon footprint there, but also you have the aspect that it's supporting a business locally. That business is giving something to the local community, that the local community are proud of that, and everybody feels a part of it. And then hopefully that people when they're listening will be a little bit more interested or intrigued about beer, that they take some inspiration away and would be willing to try maybe a different type of beer that they haven't tried before. Maybe find out where their local brewery is, because here in Sweden we're lucky, over 400 of them. But also in many other countries around the world, there is a real movement there with these small microbreweries. And to find out where it is and maybe go and meet the person there who brews the beer and ask them about the beer, ask them about the ingredients. And maybe try something of what they produce now.
Thank you for your takeaway messages. And do you have the 3 hashtags for the episode?
Yeah. Ooh, difficult with hashtags, but okay, let's try it. Support local, I think that would be good. Swedish craft beer, and then let's end on support your local brewery.
Nice. So thank you so much for coming, and good luck tomorrow, and hopefully see you in the future.
Excellent, thank you very much, and you're welcome out to the brewery anytime.
Thank you so much, Ivan Keane. So thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast season number 2. I hope you enjoyed the episode, learned something new, and got inspired by the guest. And also please don't forget to share the episode with your friends, colleagues, and people you think they are interested in Urbanistica topic. Follow on Instagram account. You will see the stories behind the scenes before and after every episode we record in the podcast. And also don't forget to subscribe the YouTube channel to see the live talks and also to see the vlogs, which we call it Urbanistica Walk, where I going around the city and explore the elements that make our city smarter and more livable. If you have any feedback or you want to suggest a new topic or nominate a new guest, you can just reach out and write me. You can find me everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and also my email. So feel free to write me and share your thoughts with me. Urbanistica has been produced in collaboration with Landskapslaget, that's working with landscape architecture, urban planning and design based in Stockholm. Thank you so much again for listening. I am Mustafa Sharif. Keep up the good work. Keep loving cities.